waiting on tables. I think it was 50 cents an hour, but they wouldn't give us any meals. So that's the era we were in. And of course, then the compulsory draft came in, and then the war. And it was quite interesting, and I looked at the law at that time as well. Quite a change. You know, it was the Roosevelt era. Constitutional law was changing so fast that quite interesting. Even Dean Sweetley, who was teaching it, had trouble keeping up with it at that time. And labor law was just starting to come forth, a little taxation. I think we were just getting over trying to decide whether taxation was here to stay or not, and whether it was constitutional, and that's where the emphasis. But you know the answer to that. Also the physical plant. I think you ought to consider the university and the physical plant. Our law school here ended with this wall. Went over there. The reading room has been restored to practically the way it was. We had long tables and so forth. The fixtures are a little different. We had a crucifix up there instead of Dean Eisenberg. And I think other than that, they had a doorway up here that you had the archives room. Out there we had a librarian's office and a faculty office. As I entered the law school as a freshman, it was the first time we had a full-time librarian. Prior to that, it had been run kind of by the regent and the students and so forth, Mrs. Kendrigan. And of course the campus was different. We still had the coal trucks going down 13th Street and all the other buildings and so forth. But we had a union, 2 stories over on, I think on 12th Street. No dorms for men. I think in 37 or 38, they established a dorm for women from out of town, and that was up on 12th and Highland, the alumni house. It was a very popular place for students at that time. So the physical plant, as far as requirements for entrance for the LLB, you had to have 3/4 of your college work with at least a C average. We didn't know anything about tests and, you know, all of those things and so forth. We also gave a JD degree at that time. For a JD degree, you had to enter with a degree from an accredited college, maintain an 88 average, and write a thesis. A law review article wouldn't qualify as a thesis at that time. I don't know of anyone that took a JD at that time, although looking at the records, during the war there were 2 young women that got JDs. I think it was 1944 or somewhere in there. We also used, and we were, when I entered, we were freshmen, juniors, and seniors. In my senior year, they decided to change it to first year, second year, and third year. So if I mix up senior year and first year, third year, as seniors, we ignored that. We didn't like third year. We liked being seniors. They had numerical grades. 93 to 100 was an A, and it also required quality points. You got 3 points for an A, you got 2 points for a B. You had to have a 77 average in order to graduate. You had to have a 76 average in order to get into your senior year. Then they had some other grades. They even had an E grade. I wasn't aware of it until I looked it up. And that was between 60 and 69. That gave you the opportunity to repeat the course and take another exam within 1 year. And if you didn't do that, then you got an F. And I remember we changed those somewhere along the line where they followed the Harvard system where about a 70 was an A and something of that sort. And that's why I was sometimes accused of being a low grader, but that was the grading system. It wasn't me. For graduation, all the required courses We had to complete those, and you had to have 79 hours plus 4 hours of office practice and 4 hours of moot court, with an average of 77 or above. They did a lot of fooling around with this office practice and moot court, depending on, you can imagine trying to run office practice and moot court during the war years, or after with the veterans when they flocked in here and you had the trimester program. So that in 1943, Gordon had referred to it, they put in the trimester program so that you could, and the theory was purely because of the emergency, so you could finish in 2 years. What you did is you had 3 entering classes. They entered in March, July, and October. And that continued until 1948. So you'd be teaching, you would have first semester seniors and third semester seniors. And you figure it out, you take how many weeks in a semester, 12, 13, plus examinations, you add them up. I remember about 1947 or early 48, I walked into the dean's office and said, I'm going to be late for class, for the start of the semester. He says, why? I said, I still have 120 blue books to grade from the previous semester, and I really need a week off. I'll never forget Kathy, my daughter who's here, when she was in, I think, first grade or something, they had to draw a picture of her dad for Father's Day. And you know what it was? It was a desk, it was a person sitting there, and a pile of blue books. I still have it. Student body statistics. Now this will illustrate the war. Tell me when to stop.
Oh, you're doing fine.
I'll take my class for example, 3940. We had 98 students in that class. There were about 275 in school. 10 of them were from out of state. The others were all... now, in my junior year, we were down to 84. And then in my senior year, 70 of us graduated. So that's a high percentage. That's 28 of us, 98 that didn't... Some of those were taken out because of the draft and so forth. Now compare that with 1943. There were 48 graduates in 1943. There were 16 graduates in 1944. In 1945-46, we had 193 registered in school. 48-49, we had 312.